realm of social media is currently filled with self-made millionaire self-help gurus that are preaching hard work, dedication, consistency, and overall self-improvement. While I am a huge advocate of this, they fail to mention that in order for you to create new habits in your life, you need to be willing to get rid of the bad ones that you're currently practicing. Bad habits come like thieves in the night. Without you noticing, they're stealing your life energy, they're stealing your hopes and dreams in front of your very eyes. In order for you to really benefit from self-improvement and to grow as a person, you need to be made aware of the bad habits that you're currently practicing. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 4 bad habits that are currently ruining your life in terms of spirituality, that are ruining your life mentally, physically, financially. We're going to be talking about these habits in depth. I'm going to be giving you a solution to get rid of each one of these habits. If you're interested in more content like this, I encourage you to smash that subscribe button and turn on the post notifications bell. Let's get the ball rolling. What is a self-improvement video without addressing doom scrolling, without addressing your social media addiction? Yes, all that time you spend scrolling on TikTok, scrolling through Instagram Reels is taking away your productivity. A lot of people these days, when the moment they get bored, they immediately grab their phones, they immediately start scrolling. And the thing about this is it's a toxic cycle. Once you see one good reel, you scroll on to the next one, you scroll on to the next one, and then the next one. The cycle starts to repeat itself. Every time you get bored, every time you feel demotivated, you immediately grab your phone and you scroll through Instagram Reels, you scroll through YouTube Shorts, but it all has the same effect. It is draining your life energy. How many times have you found yourself this year being bored, grabbing your phone, scrolling through Instagram Reels? 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, turns into an hour, turns into a few hours. And when you realize it's too late, you've already wasted countless hours scrolling that you could have spent doing something else, that you could have spent reading, that you could have spent journaling, that you could have spent building a business. And it's actually very sad to see, because a lot of people have all of these creative ideas, they have all of this life energy within them, and then they allow something like TikTok and social media to take away their creativity. Don't get me wrong, there's a good side to it as well, because it can actually motivate you to do better. It can give you some creative ideas. But unfortunately, most people partake in this activity to cure their boredom, to stay entertained, to attain that temporary dopamine rush that just keeps you happy for that little bit longer. Especially now in this rush society where everything is a race, everything is a competition. We seek solitude in a temporary dopamine rush, and TikTok and Instagram Reels provide us with this temporary dopamine rush. Now, instead of spending all this time scrolling through social media, rather read a book, rather journal, do some self-reflection, do some physical activity, something that gets the blood pumping, something that gives you those real permanent endorphins, instead of relying on this temporary dopamine rush. One of the bad habits that I had severe problems with in my life and in my self-improvement journey is chronic procrastination. It's one thing to procrastinate every now and then. It's one thing to feel tired and postponing a task to tomorrow. That happens all the time. But the moment you start making it a habit, the moment you start procrastinating with everything, the moment you know, for example, that you have an assignment, you have a deadline for that assignment, and you leave that assignment to number 99, you leave it to the day before it's supposed to be due. A lot of you are guilty of that. I was guilty of that in my earlier years as well. The moment you turn that whole situation into a habit and begin repeating it with everything you do, that is when you chronically begin to procrastinate. And chronic procrastination is the procrastination that you really should be worried about. Like I said, every now and then we're all tired, we all had a long year, and we postpone something to the next day, which is fine, that happens. But the moment you start making it a habit, the moment you start constantly procrastinating with everything you do, that is when you are in deep trouble.
Oh shit, here we go again.
How do we cure procrastination? It's a very hard question to answer, because it's going to depend on your discipline. It's going to depend on how much you want to change, because if you don't want to change your habits, ultimately you're going to keep on procrastinating. There's nothing anyone can say or do that's going to change that. It's all up to you. It's all about making that shift in your mindset. If you continue procrastinating, you are never, and I repeat, you are never going to achieve what you want to achieve in life. Because you're constantly going to be complaining about being tired. You're going to be complaining about, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the energy. You're constantly going to be procrastinating and you're never going to reach your goals. And the only cure here is to change your mindset. Either you continue procrastinating, continue pursuing that temporary dopamine rush, which is not going to bring you the success you want, or you wake up one day and you decide, my goals are more important than this temporary dopamine rush, so let me start working on them immediately. The third bad habit that might be ruining your life currently is your lack of daily planning. I'm not going to emphasize the whole journaling thing. I'm not going to emphasize the to-do list. I've talked about that in enough videos for you to know that is what I stand for. The point that I'm going to make here is that you need to have a plan for each day. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of how busy you are, regardless of you not having enough time, quote unquote, which is not true, you need to have a plan each day. You need to be aware of what needs to be done. You need to be aware of where your priorities are for the day. You need to be aware of your attitude for the day. It's all about mindset. Once again, it boils down to your attitude. Are you going to tackle the day head on, or are you going to allow the day to consume you? It's a choice, people. You need to make the choice to get up each day. You need to know what you're going to do for that day. You need to know what your attitude is going to be for that day. How are you going to interact with people? How are you going to handle problems for that day? It's not only about having a to-do list. It's not only about having a schedule. It's about your attitude. It's about your discipline that you're going to practice for that day. Are you going to sit around watching Netflix for that day, or are you going to work on chasing your goals? I'm not saying make $1 million in a day. Heck, if you can, please let me know how you do that. But it's about taking small steps towards your goals each day. Either you take those small steps right now, or leave it for the future where you're going to have to take larger steps that you won't be able to take. So make sure you have a plan for each day. The final bad habit that is ruining your life, and that I would like to end this video off with, is that you are prioritizing temporary pleasure over permanent success. You are currently focused on things that are giving you a temporary dopamine rush and not focusing on the things that will give you permanent long-term success. And in this day and age of social media, I can understand why. It's very accessible. It's easily accessible. We scroll onto Instagram, we have a temporary dopamine rush. We do a simple Google search for something and we can have a temporary dopamine rush. We order our favorite food, we have a temporary dopamine rush. Everything has become so convenient that it is creating this childish-like behavior among people. Because a child acts based on feelings, right? When the child burns his hand on the stove, he knows he's not going to touch the stove again. When the child behaves, he receives a lollipop. So he's going to keep on behaving. People have become the same. Adults have become the same. Everything has become so accessible. It's become very easy to access and to experience that temporary dopamine rush that people have lost track of their long-term success and their long-term goals. So make sure you don't get lost. Make sure you really make that shift in your mindset, make that shift in your thinking, and realize that the temporary dopamine rush is always going to be there. Regardless, it's always going to be there, it's always going to be accessible. But the choice is yours. Are you going to indulge in it and let it distract you, or are you going to push it aside for your long-term success? If you enjoyed this video and you found value, I encourage you to smash the thumbs up button, share it with as much people as possible, guys. The wider we can spread our message here on Goals and Growth, the better for us all. Better humanity equals a better life for all of us. I thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.